The Sony Corporation, in cooperation with Viditron, is pleased to present Home Video, Shoot Like a Pro. This program will help you make full use of your camcorder, enabling you to produce memorable and entertaining programs time after time. Your camcorder can provide you and your family with hours of enjoyment. Those special occasions will become a fun and important part of your history, just like the old home movies. And you can easily share your memories with friends or relatives living far away. Video has grown from a series of wires, relays, and chips into a form of expression limited only by our imagination.
Lights, camera, action! Take another look, a picture tells a story. Ooh, right before your eyes. I'm looking for a photo opportunity, somewhere between the shadows and the light. Share the images of your imagination. See a picture, it's worth 1,000 words. Discovering the magic of creation, uncovering all you've seen and heard. For you, for me, forever. Seeing is believing, it's true. Your memories are treasures, 'cause seeing is believing in you. Just take a look, seeing is believing. 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 Seeing is believing.
Today's compact, easy-to-use camcorders offer everyone a unique opportunity to express their creativity. Hi, I'm Bill Bixby, and the purpose of this program is to help give your home video a professional look. Now, regardless of the type of equipment you use, proper planning and the right technique will bring your vision to life on the screen. In other words, as a producer, you are the key to any successful production.
Our program is divided into 6 areas designed to give you the information you'll need to help you create professional-looking home video. Equipment, its operation and care. Special effects, accessories that will enhance your shooting. Sound advice, recording the sounds you want. Good lighting, how to make it work for you. Composition, framing your subject to create the right effect. And the art of continuity, how to sequence your shots to tell a story.
Camcorders come in many shapes and sizes. Your model may be simple or very advanced, so we'll start with the basic camcorder features. And with that in mind, let's begin with equipment operation and care.
To gain the confidence you'll need to feel comfortable with your equipment, you need a basic understanding of how it operates. After viewing our first chapter, you'll understand how your camcorder works, be able to operate the basic camcorder features, and protect your equipment to ensure years of enjoyment.
The best place to begin is by reading through the owner's manual. So check to see what it says about your unit. It's a good idea to keep this handy reference in your camcorder case. To achieve professional-looking results, you should start with a basic working knowledge of your camcorder. The camera transforms light energy into electronic pulses, which can then be recorded onto tape. The light reflected from an object enters the camera lens and is focused on the image target of the camera. This surface is then scanned electronically, and the image is transformed into electronic pulses. Most camcorders will have a number of built-in features, such as an automatic white balance control, automatic focus, zoom lens, built-in microphone, an electronic viewfinder, and rechargeable batteries. Now let's take a closer look at these features to see how you can make the best of them and ensure yourself professional-looking results. The first feature is the automatic white balance, a feature that lets your camera adjust whites to look white. This is necessary because some light sources give off bluish or reddish colors. Many camcorders automatically correct the white balance or have preset positions for indoor and outdoor lighting. White balancing may be done manually simply by pointing your camera at the white surface located in the light that you'll be using to shoot. Now make sure that the white is filling the frame, then push the white balance switch. Your camera will adjust to give you whites under a variety of lighting conditions and allow all other colors to appear as you saw them. Watch for changing lighting conditions and remember, white balance each time you encounter a new lighting condition. For instance, when you move from inside to outside, you'll find that it will be necessary to white balance for the new light. Operating in the same way as the pupil of your eye, the camcorder's iris opens wide in a dimly lit situation and closes down as the light gets brighter. This action keeps the amount of light entering the camera constant, preventing over or underexposure. The auto iris can be fooled because it measures the overall amount of light. Scenes that are backlit or that have surfaces brighter than your main subject may leave your subject looking darker than you'd like. Most camcorders are equipped with a backlight control to compensate for those situations. The zoom lens allows you to vary your shots without having to change the location of your camera or subject and without changing lenses. It can give you a long shot, a medium shot, a close-up, and with most camcorders, macro for super close-ups. Our next feature is the built-in microphone. When no other mics are used, your camcorder automatically records from this mic. It's most useful in general shooting applications, providing good background sound for your shooting. The record or start-stop switch on your camera allows you to be very selective about the shots you record. Pushing the switch once starts the recording. Pushing it again stops the recording. The electronic viewfinder is actually a miniature TV set. What you see in the viewfinder will be exactly what you will record, except that while your viewfinder shows a black and white image, your camcorder is recording in color. One very handy feature of the viewfinder is the ability to play back what you've already recorded. Simply rewind the tape, place it in the play mode, and the picture will appear in the camera viewfinder. The rechargeable batteries that come with your camcorder should be fully charged and fully discharged each time you use your camcorder. If you recharge these batteries while they still have a partial charge, they can develop a memory, which may prevent them from holding a full charge. With new batteries, or if you suspect your batteries aren't holding a full charge, charge them up and then fully discharge them by leaving your camcorder on. Repeat this process 2 or 3 times to condition your batteries, ensuring they'll hold the maximum charge possible. There's one other small but important feature that can be very valuable to you. It's located here on the bottom of the camera. It's the tripod mounting plate. The use of a tripod, monopod, or shoulder brace can make the difference between shaky shots and smooth, professional-looking ones. Or when it's not practical to use a tripod, you can usually find a variety of supports to steady your shots. Now, for the best results when you're shooting standing up, position yourself so that you're comfortably balanced, with your knees slightly bent and your feet about shoulder width apart. Now, this stance will help keep you stable and still allow you to move freely.
You've invested a lot of money in your video equipment, so it's worth protecting it. By observing the following suggestions, you'll be able to look forward to many years of reliable operation.
Be extremely careful of where you put your equipment. Don't place it on the ground. Especially keep it away from sand, dirt, and water. Be careful not to leave your video cassettes in a car on a hot day. The temperature inside a vehicle can rise to a point that could damage your valuable cassettes. Make sure you get a good case for your camcorder. Depending on your needs, there's a wide range of hard and soft-sided cases to carry and protect your equipment.
Keep a clear, multi-coated filter mounted on the front of the lens at all times to protect your lens. It's also a good idea to keep a lens cap on the camera whenever you're not shooting. Now you should be familiar with camcorder features and equipment care. This will help to ensure years of fun and dependable service. Now, let's look at some equipment that will advance your video perspectives. There are many options available to give your videos a special effects look. Your video dealer also has a wide range of accessories that will allow you to stretch the horizons of your video vision to new heights and depths.
If your camcorder has a high-speed shutter, you can freeze action. This is especially useful if you want to analyze a quick movement, frame by frame. Some camcorders allow you to digitally superimpose titles or other images over the pictures you're shooting. Now, this feature is very practical, and it can be a lot of fun. Accessory lenses extend the capabilities of your zoom lens to bring distant objects close, open up a wider angle of view, and enlarge small objects. These lenses mount at the front of your lens and may require that you focus manually. Filters that create visual effects can give your shots special moods by altering the color balance. For instance, a yellow or orange filter can have a dramatic effect on a sunset or sunrise. Filters can also be used to create starbursts or many other effects that will add sparkle to your productions. Marine and sport packs let you take your camcorder into all kinds of situations you might otherwise have avoided. Just think of the possibilities. Many smaller accessories are available from your dealer that will assist you in giving your home video that professional edge. These include items such as remote controllers, car battery adapters, extended capacity batteries, and head cleaners. The options for giving your video a special look are growing all the time. With special effects and accessories, you can really inject your video with imagination. The versatility of the video camera has opened up
a whole new world of creativity. Hold it. Hey, wait a minute. What's going on here?
As you can see and hear, sounds that don't match your pictures can turn credibility into chaos.
In an effective production, the sound and the pictures perfectly complement each other. Recording good sound with your pictures isn't that difficult if you follow the basic rules. So let's begin our next chapter, Sound Advice. Good video production requires recording the appropriate sound to complement your video pictures. In our next chapter, you'll learn microphone types and techniques for getting the sounds you want.
There are two types of microphones that you'll be concerned with, the one on your camcorder and the one that you place on your subject. The microphone on your camera is ideal for most applications. It picks up sound from a general area, which also includes the sounds made by the camera operator. So if you need to direct your on-camera talent, it's a good idea to work out some hand signals in advance. If you do want to provide a traveling narration, the camera microphone will work very well. Microphones that you can place on or near your subject are effective because they reduce the distractions of background noise. Even if the camera isn't close to the subject, the microphone always stays close to ensure a good sound pickup. Wireless microphones allow you to move your camcorder a long way from your subject without being encumbered by cables. Another microphone that you might find useful is a zoom mic. These mics are much more directional and pick up sound from a select area, avoiding unwanted background sounds. Handheld microphones are very useful for getting high-quality sound in an interview or a musical setting. These mics are the choice of professionals because of their high quality. No matter which of these mics you use, remember to place it reasonably close to your sound source. If you're too far away, the background sound will dominate. Now, over time, you'll develop an ability to hear background sounds that will annoy your audience. Although your brain filters out many unwanted background sounds, like an overhead airplane or the hum of an air conditioner, your audience will hear everything you record loud and clear. Capturing the right sound is an art unto itself, but by applying these principles, you can enjoy good sound on all your productions.
Now you're ready to record good sound in any shooting situation. You have an understanding of sound basics, microphone types, and techniques.
Width, height. These two dimensions make up our picture. The third element desirable in any picture is depth. But due to the limited two-dimensional shape of the TV set, the third dimension must be introduced through illusion. One of the most effective means of creating the illusion is through lighting. And that's what our next chapter is all about.
Light is the essence of video. After viewing our next chapter, you'll know the difference between hard and soft light, how to set up three-point lighting, and the advantages of using reflected lighting, all of which you can use to make your subjects appear natural on the screen.
There are two main types of light that you'll be faced with, and understanding them will help you to use them to your advantage. The first is hard light, often called direct light. It's the light that comes mainly from a single source. The best example of this is the sun, providing light from a single direction, leaving a combination of bright and shadowed areas. The other form of light, soft light, is also provided to us by nature simply by filtering the strong sun rays through clouds. The effect is light, with little or no shadows, which seems to come equally from all directions. Hard light, soft or diffused light. Our eyes can respond to a greater range of light levels than our video camera. So when you look at your subject's lighting, remember that your camcorder won't be as forgiving to the scene as your eye will. Often indoors, the existing light level is not enough to provide clear, crisp pictures. Your camcorder is left straining to reproduce a picture, resulting in video noise and effects similar to excessive grain in a still photograph. Other situations, such as strong light coming in a window, can leave areas very dark in comparison. The resulting picture is very harsh. Video lights provide the solution. They will prove to be an invaluable asset to your productions by showing your subject in its best light. They're available both in battery-powered and AC-powered versions to fit your needs. Battery-powered lights that fit in your camcorder give you the ability to move around, like a news cameraman. AC-powered lights are usually brighter and can be used directly or bounced off a white surface, such as a wall, to create a softer, indirect light. To understand how to achieve optimum lighting, let's have a look at an arrangement commonly called three-point lighting. Although you may not use all of these lights together, it's important to see how each light affects your subject. The main light, often called the key light, is placed either to the right or the left of the camera. The further it is moved away from the camera, the more exaggerated the shadow effect, or modeling. The second most important light is the fill light. It's placed on the other side of the camera. Now, this light is less intense than the key light. It's designed to fill in the shadows left by the key light. The third light, the backlight, is placed as directly behind the subject as possible. The purpose of this backlight is to bring the subject out from the background, highlighting the shoulders and the hair. This light is instrumental in creating a 3D look. The principles of three-point lighting apply out of doors as well. The sun makes a natural key light or backlight. Fill light can be introduced by using a reflector board. This is a flat white surface that will reflect a portion of the sun's rays to soften harsh shadows. Bounce lighting is a very effective method for adding that little extra bit of light to create a great picture without producing harsh shadows. Look around and see what light is available. Now, with a little forethought, you can often make it easy on yourself by positioning your subject in a place where there's appropriate available light. Good sound and good lighting. Two keys for creating believable productions. Now again, practice makes perfect. So don't be afraid to experiment. I always do. Take 1, take 2, take 5, take 10, take 40. But eventually, we get the shot.
So now you know how to handle various lighting situations, including both hard and soft lighting, in and out of doors, achieving three-point lighting, using a reflector board and bounce lighting to create the right effect.
Classic picture postcard shots, not all that difficult to capture when you apply the rules of composition to your shooting. And that's what this next chapter is all about.
You'll be in a much better position to direct your audience's attention once you understand the principles of composition. In our next chapter, we look at some guidelines that will help you compose your pictures in a way that will maximize the interest of your audience. You'll learn how to make use of simplicity, balance, lines, camera angles, and focus shifting, all of which will assist you in drawing direct attention to a specific subject on the screen.
When we compose a picture, we frame and position our subjects to create an emotional reaction. Now, the way you show your subjects has an important influence on how effectively your ideas are communicated. There are two basic rules to good composition: simplicity and balance. Simplicity means just that. Think about how your subject relates to the setting. Your audience can easily be distracted by a movement or objects in the background of your shot. For example, it's quite natural for your eye to be drawn to all of the activity. The background is cluttered and distracting, but a simple re-aiming of the camera results in a much cleaner background. Check the background of your shot in the viewfinder for such things as objects appearing to grow out of a person's head. Unless it's intentional, it will only distract your viewers from what it is you're trying to convey. But by breaking the compositional rules, you can have some fun. When you're composing your picture, try to make use of the perspectives your zoom lens offers. Wider angles expand the perspective, whereas telephoto shots tend to compress the action and isolate it from the background. Horizontal lines create a feeling of rest and peacefulness. On the other hand, vertical lines create a feeling of dignity and grandeur. Another form of line that can be used to enhance your shooting is known as the leading line. These are lines that draw your attention to a specific part of the picture. In this example, these rails direct your eyes to the subject. These lines will help you control your viewer's attention. Now, generally, the lines should start at the edges of the frame and lead to the object being emphasized. In order to make use of all the elements of lines, the framing of each shot becomes a key element. Where should your subject be placed in the frame in order to make your picture a good one? Most people will say in the middle, and they're very close to being correct. But unfortunately, almost correct may cost you a truly superb shot. Now, we've learned from observing nature that the dividing of an object into thirds is psychologically very pleasing to the eye. The great masters like Michelangelo recognized this as they proportioned their works. Professional photographers have helped us to make practical use of this rule of thirds. By dividing our screen into thirds, first horizontally and then vertically, and placing your subjects at the intersecting line of the grid rather than dead center, you create a much more pleasant effect for your viewers. So, which side of center should you choose? The idea of a balanced picture should be the consideration here. Try moving either your camcorder or your subject slightly for a more pleasing effect. Another way of balancing the frame is by giving moving objects enough visual space to move into. Have your subjects move toward the center of the frame rather than away from the center. By adding angles to your shooting, you can give a number of different moods and effects. For example, if you place the camera low and look up at me, the effect is one of dominance and power. On the other hand, should you place the camera high, looking down, the mood changes, reducing the impact and the importance of the subject. The natural inclination when shooting something is to shoot it head on. You may, however, find a much more pleasing look can be obtained by shooting the same object on an angle. To move to reveal the side of the object adds depth, allowing the viewer to get a better idea of what the object really looks like. There's an artistic trick that can be used to direct the viewer's attention from one object in the frame to another. It's called focus shifting. Now, this type of shot works best when the focus difference between the two objects is great enough to obliterate the identity of the out-of-focus subject. Well, up to now, we've been talking about situations that you have control over. But what about those you can't control? Well, the key point here is to begin and end with a well-framed shot. Make the start of your shot steady and hold it long enough so the viewer can identify with it. Let the action carry itself. And then hold the shot at the end. Don't cut it off short. Now you have a number of techniques at your disposal, and with practice, you'll find that mastering of these elements will come quite quickly.
Remember, as the producer, your primary concern is audience interest. You now know how to use simplicity, balance, background, lines, camera angles, and focus shifting to assist you in directing your audience's attention to your subject.
Now we must sequence our shots so that they tell a story. And that's our next chapter, the art of continuity.
To keep the action flowing smoothly throughout your presentation, you must give some thought to continuity. In our next chapter, you'll learn the ways that you, the director, can provide your audience with a new way of seeing the world. You'll understand how the director tells his story by the way he selects his shots, techniques for emphasizing the impact of a situation, and the ways that camera movements can be used to enhance your pictures.
Continuity is the art of putting shots together into logical sequences and then sequences together into a story. Now, as a director, your first responsibility is to your audience. And as with all storytellers, losing your audience is the worst mistake you can make. Keep in mind, your audience is probably seeing this for the first time. Now, that doesn't mean your story has to be complicated. In fact, often the simplest storylines are the best. Try to think of your story as a book, with shots being equal to paragraphs, which are put together to form sequences or chapters, and then are assembled to form the total story. Our story should have a beginning, a middle or body, and an end or summary. Each sequence that you shoot should have some basic elements in it that will make it easy for the viewer to understand the situation, and this will enable them to follow the story easily. The first of these elements is the establishing of the scene. By use of an orientation shot, you show the setting and the main players. Next, the medium shot, a shot that brings the situation closer to the viewer, actually isolating it from the other action that may be going on around it. And finally, the close-up, certainly the most expressive of the three shots. When you want several shots to form a sequence of a stationary subject, try and vary your shooting angle by approximately 45 degrees. Also, by changing the image size slightly, you give the audience a greater impression of depth. Sometimes, it's easier to move your subject than it is to move your camera. You can cheat a little by shifting the position of your subject a little to make your audience think the camera has actually moved. Now, this is especially useful when you're shooting in cramped quarters. Moving the camera from side to side is known as panning. Moving up and down is known as tilting. The first rule is to make sure that your camera motion is smooth and not too fast, unless you want to create a very dramatic effect. The pan should take enough time to allow the viewer to recognize the most important objects within the frame. You can also move your camera vertically to create the effect of a crane shot in a movie. Now, you can have some fun with this one. Trucking is when the camera is actually moving laterally along the side of the subject. Dollying is like zooming. However, notice the difference. In a zoom shot, it will appear as though the background is coming toward you, while a dolly shot will appear as if you were moving toward the background. Try them both and observe the difference in perspective between zooming and dollying. You can create a dolly effect by walking toward your subject or by improvising using something like a chair on wheels. There's another shot you should be concerned with. It's called a cutaway. A brief cutaway to see reaction and then returning to the normal action will be valuable in reinforcing your story. A similar shot, called a cut-in, is usually a close-up of a very specific action and is introduced in the middle of the action. Normal action, cut-in, normal action. Using a cut-in or cutaway are very useful for making the transition from one scene to another. If your camera has a fader control, you can use this as another way to make a transition. Usually, when your audience sees a fade, they expect that time has passed since the previous shot. So, for instance, later that evening. Although some camcorders have the ability to create titles, sometimes the simplest titles are the most fun. They offer an alternative way of getting from one scene to another that otherwise might not make sense. The transitions you use to move from one shot to another can give your home video a very professional look. Think about a video that you want to make and imagine how you can use these transitions to make your story interesting. When producers put together a visual outline for a TV commercial, they use a storyboard to show the transitions they will use to make their short story effective. The key thing to remember about transitions is to use them to give your video a smooth and logical flow. Our final point on continuity is to make sure that you keep the action flowing in a logical direction. For instance, if your story involves getting onto an airplane, your first shot on board should be looking from the same direction. Then you can move around. On television sports coverage, they put up a title to let you know why your team is suddenly running in the opposite direction. When you want to convey a sense of direction, imagine a map superimposed on your TV screen to show that your subject is moving from east to west, for instance. And also, don't forget to show the return from the trip. Now, we've covered equipment, operation and care, accessories and effects, the principles of lighting and sound, and the art of composition and continuity. All of these elements must be planned and properly executed if your video production is going to have the professional quality we all strive for. And now when you watch TV or go to a movie, remember to look for the techniques that the pros use. It's the best way to learn. And remember that it's you, the video producer, who is the most important element in any successful production. And now, it's up to you to practice what you've learned and make sure you have fun. And make sure you have fun. And make sure you have fun. And make sure, and make sure, and make sure you have a little fun in your life. Good night. Even the lighting doesn't work.
Lights, camera, action! Take another look. A picture tells a story. Ooh, right before your eyes. I'm looking for a photo opportunity. Somewhere between the shadows and the light. Share the images of your imagination. See a picture, it's worth 1,000 words. Discovering the magic of creation. Uncovering all you've seen and heard. For you, for me, forever. Seeing is believing, it's true. Your memories are treasures. 'Cause seeing is believing in you. Just take a look. Seeing is believing. 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 Seeing is believing.
Viditron, in cooperation with the Sony Corporation of America, is pleased to present Video Creativity.
Every morning opens up a brand new day full of possibilities. What a life. It's all right there waiting for you. All you have to do is reach out and grab it.
It's 7:30, a beautiful morning. Nothing but sunshine and great music ahead of us, so stay tuned.
You don't have to miss a thing. Your new Sony Video 8 camcorder is so compact and versatile, you can take it anywhere. You can keep it close at hand to capture those special moments you want to keep forever. Don't just watch life pass you by. Your life is what you make it. So don't contemplate it. Video 8 it. You'll be amazed.
Do you want to hear a story?
Yeah!
I can't hear you.
Yeah!
Okay, you got it. Once upon a time. No. Longer ago than that. Twice upon a time.
There is nothing like a good story. There have been storytellers, and those more than willing to be captivated by a good yarn well spun for just about as long as there's been imagination. Once upon a time, the teller of tales had only words and gestures with which to call the magic into being. Today, Sony's Video 8 camcorder makes it possible to take the art of storytelling into an entirely new dimension. What remains the same is that you have to want to share your imagination, and you have to open yourself to all the stories around you waiting to be told. Your camcorder is the key. The purpose of this program is to encourage you to take your productions one step beyond by injecting your stories with video creativity. We've used production techniques in this video that you can easily recreate with your camcorder. Let's take a look at some of the possibilities. The world is going to offer you 1,000,001 things to shoot. What you're going to have to learn is how to gain enough control of your situation to let the story tell itself. With spontaneous action going on all around, you're forced to catch what you can as best you can. Like this news cameraman, you'll have to bring order to a chaotic situation if you're going to get the story. Your first job must be to establish a center of attention to which all the other actions can be related. This person or situation, like the hub of a wheel, will organize the scene and give you a focus for your story. In a less frenzied but equally uncontrolled situation, you again establish your own control by determining where the focus of attention should be first, and then proceed to tell your story from that point of view. You can't get everything, so key into what's most important. Planning and forethought gives you the creative edge. When you know where the action will take place, be sure you're in the right place to get the right shot. Your camcorder will let you swing into action at a moment's notice. Pre-planning gives you the control you need to set your imagination free. Let's take a look at an event you might find yourself wanting to shoot and see what more we can learn about camcorder creativity. Let's call this story The Big Game. From a storyteller's point of view, you should choose yourself a focus for the action. A hero. Ta-da! A star is born. How will this hero win the day? Well, that's where your creativity and sense for storytelling comes in. First, get some establishing shots. Tell your audience where they are by shooting the preparation for an event or its location. Next, be sure your audience knows who the story's going to be about. What a kid. And then set the dramatic context. Remember, your camcorder has excellent sound capabilities, so give your characters a voice. While the story unfolds, let's look at a few more techniques that will help your production. Camera position is important if you're going to capture the action. Position your camcorder to take full advantage of the light, your subject, and the action. Don't forget about reaction shots. Capturing the right expression at the right time can speak volumes. Of course, you'll want to change your camera position every once in a while. Just remember, you can also get a lot of variety with a quick pan. Now, that's what I call a camcorder story. All it needs is a post-game interview.
Reggie Jackson, eat your heart out.
Obviously, this story could not have been shot from a single camera position, but using simple techniques and effectively editing, you can learn to shoot with the best of them. Don't think for a moment that your Video 8 storytelling has to mirror reality. You can have a lot of fun manipulating events to suit your own purposes. For instance, You can turn a simple round of golf into a comic adventure. By taping a regular round and by editing in a few pre-arranged setup shots, you can create a masterpiece. As a storyteller, set up a comic conflict. Be certain your story goes somewhere. To work, it's going to have a good resolution and possibly a big finish. This kind of storytelling is perfectly within your grasp with your Video 8 camcorder. Your story doesn't need to be complicated. For instance, a headache might be the start of a story. Once you've established your premise, the problem your hero has to overcome, be creative. Let your imagination loose by devising progressively more bizarre and more desperate strategies for getting into the bottle. Don't worry about exaggeration. One of the secrets of comedy is to push ordinary events just a tad beyond reality and rationality. But make sure your story has an ending. After all, every joke needs a punchline. Have camcorder, will travel.
Can you make me a low-cal strawberry milkshake, please? Thank you.
You don't have to limit yourself to a single location. Let's say your idea is to follow a milkshake being passed from person to person. Well, once the glass begins its journey, the people passing it from the camera's point of view could be anywhere. The milkshake just goes out of frame to be passed on by anyone you wish. If it happens to get sampled along the way, who's to know? You can use people on the street. You can use costumes. As the director, you can even determine what direction the milkshake is passed in. The trick is to keep the continuity consistent so everything will edit together. You can be as creative as the connections you choose to make. Your story can be as long as you wish, but remember to give it an ending.
Yeah, this looks like a low-cal shake to me.
Magic is the art of making the impossible at least appear actual. It doesn't have to be just sleight of hand. It can be sleight of camcorder, too. Your Video 8 can let you bend the laws of physics. For instance, you can defy gravity. Let's face it, magic is seldom on the up and up. As far as horizons go, they can go in any direction you want. With your camcorder, it's just a twist of the wrist. And time and space? Child's play. It's frankly amazing what a little in-camera editing can do.
All right.
With a little imagination, your camcorder can open up a whole world of fantasy. Next Halloween, instead of the same trick-or-treat shots, why not create a fantasy transformation? Set up a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde scenario with one of your children. Then, using makeup supplies you can get from a local joke shop, Video 8 the progressive stages of transfiguration. Sequenced so they cut together, the shots create a fantastic effect.
That looks great, Jennifer.
To be truly creative, you'll want to get into editing your own camcorder productions. Editing makes videoating a director's medium. Take, for example, this man, relaxing, thinking to himself. We edit in a shot of a small child. Then, cut back to the man smiling. As a director, you've told your audience that this man is a loving father. Now, let's take the same man, but this time, substitute something less homey for the baby. Cutting back to the smile, without your actor having done anything, you as a director have changed him into something very different. That's what editing's all about. Controlling everything that your audience sees and hears. The rest is just imagination. Editing we can do, you can do better, with a little practice. So, what is the key to creativity? Well, creativity isn't something we can easily define for you. But if you think back to how you learned as a child, you'll be very close to unlocking your own creativity. To quote a line from a poem by E.E. Cummings, "The children guessed, but only a few, and down they forgot as up they grew." Sometimes we need to take a step back to find those positive qualities of childhood: energy, curiosity, optimism, and resiliency. Be creative. Try new things, new ways, and make sure that you enjoy the process of being creative. So keep your camcorder handy. Start to see the world through its viewfinder, and a world of possibilities will come into focus. All you need to exercise your imagination is to be creative. So don't just contemplate it, video-8 it. Do it today.